Thank you very much. Behind me is part of the HEAT, the House Energy Action Team. You've watched many on the floor debate for an energy policy within America, and today we're announcing the next phase in the American Energy Initiative. With the rising gas prices, we see the energy policy of America. We hear the President talk about, one, vetoing Keystone. Secondly, he talks about we're producing more oil in this country. But that's not on public lands. We actually decreased 14% last year. We watch when this crisis erupts. On the Senate side, the Democrat leader says his answer, Mr. Schumer, is to ask Saudi Arabia to produce more oil. Well, we believe in American jobs. We believe in American oil from American soil. We listen to the President talk about all the above. We believe in all the above. Unfortunately, the President believes none from below. So today we have a list of new initiatives that will help lower the gas prices, at the same time build America, where you see many of the new studies, we could be energy independent, that we actually have the resources here. So as members begin to go home to their districts, you will find that they will have a card from the HEAT Energy Action Team, a number of pieces of legislation that have passed this House but continues to sit in the Senate, that can unleash and unshackle the resources that we have right here. So next up is our Deputy Whip Peter Roskam.
The Obama administration has made a decision, and that is to pursue an energy policy that caters to a very narrow fringe of the president's political base. He's catering to the people with the weird bumper stickers on the backs of their cars that we all avoid when we're driving down the highway. He has made a decision ultimately to say yes to Solyndra and no to Keystone. He's made a decision to say we're going to slow walk permits, which everybody acknowledges would create more energy for more Americans. And it is done at the expense of the American family. It's done at the expense of American job creators. Within a half a mile of my house in Wheaton, Illinois, gas is $4.50 a gallon. That is ultimately unsustainable, and the House won't stand for it, and we call on the administration to shake off this nonsense of political posturing and calculating, to get over themselves and ultimately create an American energy policy that is buoyant for the whole country and doesn't just cater to a fringe group.
Let's understand a fundamental issue. When you have rising prices on any commodity, the way you bring those prices down is to increase the supply. And the way you increase the supply in a global commodity like ours is to understand that we have the resources right here within our country to do that over time. Those resources are largely located on public lands. They're located in the outer continental shelf. They're located in the Intermountain West, and certainly they're located in Alaska. We have passed legislation out of the House to address every one of those issues, and they sit languishing continually again in the U.S. Senate. So what we are going to do with this next effort of the American Energy Initiative is to recognize what we've already passed, continue to pass those policies that we know the American people want, which is lower prices in the future, and a certainty that the prices will be lower in the future. The way to do that, of course, is utilize the resources that we have, specifically in the outer continental shelf. We have passed legislation, and we'll address it again, to let leases where we know there is resources. In Alaska, the Natural Petroleum Reserve was set aside in the 1920s. We propose to ease regulations in order to bring that on the market. That's American energy and American jobs. So this is nothing more than a continuation of what we have been talking about in the past. This is the next stage of the message that we'll be taking to the American people.
I'm Fred Upton. You know, back in February, USA Today getting ready for the Super Bowl, chaotic spring predicted for gas, average price is likely to hit $4.05 a gallon. Go 2 blocks up the street here, it's $4.54 at the Capitol Hill Exxon. My district, we're well over $4 as well. And I have to say that Americans do understand supply and demand, that is for sure. And it is really hard for folks who have to commute 30, 40, maybe even 50 miles a day to be able to get to their job and back, to pick up their kids, to maintain a lifestyle that they might want to have. We've passed Keystone a couple times now in the House. We're going to add to that. We've got a couple bills that we're going to move through our committee. One is we're going to make sure that we don't see any new regulations put on refineries that will increase the price of gas by perhaps as much as 20 cents a gallon. We're going to try to put a skid to that. We're also going to say that if the president does understand supply and demand, and he wants to take some of that supply out of SPRO, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, we're going to make sure that there's an offset. And the offset is that we're going to require that we increase the supply that's taken from federal lands. Last year, drilling on federal lands was reduced by 100 million barrels. We cannot allow that to happen. And if we're going to take oil out of SPRO, we're going to make sure that there's the offset so that we can in fact make up for it on federal lands.
I'm Virginia Fox from the 5th District of North Carolina, and I can tell you the people in my district are hurting mightily because of the price of gasoline. We're a very rural district, and my folks would understand this. You know, the president's going around taking credit for recent energy successes. He takes credit for everything good that happens in this country, but that's like the rooster taking credit for the sun rising in the morning. He's had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that we have reduced imports from outside the country this year. What he's going one place and saying, we've reduced imports, therefore give me credit, and then saying, but the economy's improving. Well, the reason imports have gone down is because the economy is not in very good shape. So this administration continues to talk out of both sides of its mouth on this issue as well as others. And what we need to do, as my colleagues have said, is have the administration live up to what it says it wants to do, which is an all of the above policy, which we've been talking about for the last 5 years. Let's do more drilling and let's increase the supply.
Hi, I'm Marcia Blackburn from Tennessee. You know what is so interesting to me? March is Women's History Month. And I don't know how many of you in the press are aware of that, but because of that, we've had the opportunity to talk to women's groups all across our state. And as we do, guess what they want to talk about? They want to talk about 3 things. 1, jobs in the economy. 2, health care. And number 3 is the price of a gallon of gas at the pump. And every time they ask me, why is gas going through the roof? I like to remind them the reason it is because the House takes action, the Senate will not take action, and the President is not for all of the above. We know that he wants our energy prices to skyrocket. We know that Secretary Chu thinks that the price of a gallon of gas in Europe is not a bad idea. We are committed as House Republicans to taking the steps that are necessary to reduce that price of a gallon of gas so that when our friends and colleagues, Mom in the minivan as I call us, when we pull up and fill up that pump, we know that we're going to be paying less, not more. We've got a lot of legislation. It's waiting for action. We're waiting for action.
You will find as members go home and reaching out to their districts, talking about the energy crisis before us. This new initiative was going to focus on 4 main points. You're going to have from energy and commerce to natural resources. That's why you have the both chairs here. Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Every time you go through it that you want to take out, we up the supply in the public lands. Refinery regulations, be able to refine what we're producing. Production on federal lands. It has decreased 14% in the last year. Then when you look across the country, the best place for unemployment is North Dakota. Why? They've had an energy boom. This is about jobs. This is about creating American oil from American soil. This is about providing jobs within our own country. First was expanding the natural petroleum reserves that has been there. The president said he's opened it up, but he does not produce the leases for it. have any questions. Behind us is the HEAT team, the House Energy Action Team. You see them on the floor leading the debate, but you see them also in committee leading the challenge.
Whip McCarthy, Chairman Micah said that the transportation bill is now going to come up under a rule. Can you get the 218 votes for it, number one, and why has it been delayed 3 days?
The good thing you asked about transportation, because it takes oil to allow people to transport across America. That's what we're talking about today. That's probably why you asked that question. Yes. I think you'll find a rule be taken up. We have the 218 votes to get the extension, probably 90 days, and then we'll pass a bill when we come back that puts us into conference.
Are Democrats looking against it right now?
I think once we get to 218, a lot of Democrats would be for it. We tried to work with them, and we'll continue to work with them. We'd like to see the president, when he talks about all the above, to at least let's produce something from below. The prices will be dropping. You have to remember, when it comes Memorial Day, you get the boutique fuel. The price is going to continue to rise, and if we don't do something about it. I see that it's raining. I see that we didn't have more energy questions, so I thank you for your time.
Kevin, are we going to do more votes?